And then that started, having people, especially management, look at that and start developing trust. Like, oh, okay, yeah, so I think this thing actually can be trusted, and I can see the evolution, improvement or not, right, on those execution runs, and then that helped us solidify the regression side of it, and then expand that to other areas that of the application that we were not originally scoped to automate. So it was definitely an exercise from all of us to, be cool and say, hey, our initial plan failed, but we learned, and then we focused now on the areas that delivered value, and at the end of the day gave the team, the overall application team, more speed, and from a management perspective, in addition to speed, obviously the consistency enabled them to start trusting automation, and then it actually helped expand automation to other applications as well, right? After the initial experiment.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So you guys show up as testers, automation shows up, and like you said, is the promise is that it's going to solve every single problem in the world. You realize that it's not, and then you go through this strategy to implement it, which we'll recap in a moment. But now you're seeing benefits. Now, well, like you said, to management, it didn't only bring speed, but also it brought increased the quality. David, it looks like you also saw benefits in your organization. Can you guys talk a little bit about like what actually were the tangible or benefits that you were able to observe once you guys went over the hurdle of adoption, if you will? So what did you start seeing? And to echo Alex, you saw efficiency, you saw speed. How these all started coming about in your organization?
Alex, I'll let you answer first this time. I've answered first before.
So obviously I'll say, before talking more about the value, but obviously speed, consistency, efficiency. The other part of it was there was this still in the misconception phase, right? Or the wrong expectation, I would say, that as management saw that it worked and they liked the initial value around speed and consistency and overall quality, there was also this additional expectation that, eventually people started expecting those automated tests to find critical bugs. And the reality is, and we kind of touched it in the beginning, is that you don't really want automation to fail, like the automated tests to run and then find problems, right? Because that means that the development team did a poor job in one of the releases, that now something broke in the application that was previously working, right? Because the automated tests were running just fine and now they failed. So that means that somebody messed up, right? And it's fine. It's part of the development process. It's not anybody's fault. We're all humans, but it does mean that it will, the application has regressed. And then there was this expectation that, okay, great that you're finding regression issues, right? Application regression issues, but why are you not finding critical bugs? Only manual testers are finding like real business logic issues and finding those critical defects the first time are only manual testers. Like, so they're more valuable. Automation is too costly, and it just finds issues if development, introduces errors after the feature has been rolled out. So there was this incorrect expectation that automation was going to find all of the issues, especially the highly critical ones. And the reality is, like we talked in the beginning, is even for an automation engineer, first time you look at the application, what you're trying to do is you're trying to understand how it works. And usually you do have a manual test to use as your guide, right, to go through that flow in the application. And then you understand how that flow works. You understand the different parts of the application that you have to automate. And then now you're going to, write your script or, create your automated test. So the first pass of testing has already been done has already been done manually, right? So by the time you're automating, the application is working, like, the feature you're testing is working. that's why you chose to automate. And then you automate it, and then now it's, you know that if it breaks, then your script will catch it. So we had to basically walk the team, especially leadership, through that rationale and show them examples, and kind of really, I think, like Dave said, demos really help. And we demoed not only the scripts running, but we demoed, here's a day in the life of an automation engineer, right? So we usually start with a manual test that somebody created, or worst case, we look at the requirement, the actual requirement, and then start creating the test. But more commonly, you go by with or you start from a manual test that somebody already created, and then once you're comfortable as an engineer, you're comfortable, then you start automating, and then you think about the reusability. How can this component in my test, it's going to be used by other test cases as well.
Yeah.
How can I build it in a way that others can just reuse what I created? They don't have to reinvent the wheel. We gain more efficiency. When the application changes, we change the automated assets in one place. So we had to walk them through that entire journey, and then eventually they got it. So the expectations were reset. Right. And I think in the industry, I'd be curious to your insights there as well, David. But in the industry, we don't really talk about that much, in the sense that what kind of defects we expect automation to find compared to manual testing, right? So that was a big lesson learned and value point that we were able to work with our management at the time. And I see this consistently, even now being on the software vendor side. I see many of the teams we're trying to help, starting with these unrealistic expectations that we need to kind of help them visualize that.
Yeah, I think for what happens with us is, the automated testing covers a certain percentage, not just of the application, but in some cases, the test case itself. As we know, one window could be tested exponentially, like in different ways. And some of those expectations were, well, that script should catch every possible thing of every single thing. Now, it's not that you just want to create the script to just be happy path, right? You do want to take into consideration some of the outlying issues that could appear. And there are times, like you said, Alex, where, oh, well, Dave, don't you have a script for that? Like, how was that bug found? And it's like, well, there was an addition that was added on that added a certain level of complexity that the script didn't initially have. But the nice thing is that we have the ability to now update that script to handle that. So I stay very much in touch with the production side of things as like bugs are coming in, and I will see where we actually capture data around, okay, where are the parts of our application that are most prone to newer bugs appearing like after a release into production. And so we'll try to make sure that we're updating scripts with that, so on and so forth. But yeah, like Alex said, the expectation is like, how was this not caught by the script? And it's like, well, the script isn't always there to do every single thing. It would take way too long to write a script that could handle every possibility. The job, personally, this is what I think, and maybe I'm wrong, is that it's supposed to capture that regression, make sure that the initial functionality that was there was working correctly. We try to capture some of the things that could happen, but with automation, I have found sometimes the breadth of the scripts, sometimes the depth, you really can't have that like super in-depth script that goes really long, because then you can have this huge script and it can be hard to maintain, so on and so forth. So being able to work with the team as something might come in and just update the script has been an important part, staying in touch with them to say, okay, well, this actually was not something that I had covered in the script, or you added something that I didn't know about at the time. The manual tester might have missed it. It wasn't initially a part of my script, but now I can make that update. And what we can do is, like I said, we can show them that, oh, okay, well, now I've created something in my backlog. If it's like a hot fix or a crucial thing, that can be something that becomes prioritized with regards to my scripting. Like maybe I hold off on creating something new, and now I bring this in as a part of like creating more depth around that one script. Has been a big part of like the communication back and forth between other members of the team and stuff like that. I think my scripts have found enough before going out to production that it has given the company, you know, the trust that, all right, the scripts do find stuff, and occasionally these things happen. It doesn't mean that automation is bad. It's just, you know, that, you know, applications are big and complex, and like Alex said initially, we can't cover everything all the time. We really have to try to pinpoint exactly what we're trying to do here and make sure that we're getting enough coverage of the overall application, because, you know, we want to make sure that we're at least handling what we were handling before. So, I mean, that's been one of the things that we've dealt with here. So.
Do you think that before we jump into the strategy, one of the challenge, like going back to the challenges, do you think one of the challenges, and feel free to educate me again, I'm just the marketing guy. When it comes to challenges in automation, guesswork is one of them, or does that apply for manual testing as well? Like, what is it that I need to go ahead and test? What are the quote unquote happy paths that I need to evaluate to make sure that I covered as much of the application that I needed to?
So you're asking if, like, when we're working on it, like how much are we taking into consideration that we should be automating on something?
Yeah. So is there always a clear communication on like, hey, you need to test step 1, 2, and 3, or as an automator, as an automation engineer, do you always, or multiple times, find yourself like, I wonder what is it that I should test about this app?
No, we actually have a very good process here at my company with regards to acceptance criteria or requirements. So 9 times out of 10, I have everything I need in the since I take it from their project and I port it over into my project. So I have everything that I need there. If the manual tester happens to write more that might expand outside of the acceptance criteria, then I take those into consideration when I'm writing the script.
Got it.
As well. And just in some cases, I do the best I can just after being in the IT field for 26 years, knowing that, oh, okay, we're dealing with a certain type of area of the code, so I need to make sure that I'm adding these validation checkpoints and stuff like that to cover it. But I would say my team does a really good job with being able to provide me with everything that I need in order to automate the area of the code that has been done. So excellent. Yeah, that I think that is a crucial thing too. So if you have people that are going to be looking to automation, having those well-defined acceptance criteria requirements is crucial for the automated testers, so that by the time that they get them, they know exactly, you know, what needs to be tested.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is actually an excellent point to switch into. I want to ask you both about what do you think would be an optimal strategy to apply for anyone who's wondering, like, hey, I want to move into automated testing, but we learn things like don't try to go ahead and automate everything. That should be step 1 in that strategy.